Just really happy with our guys' performance tonight. I thought we put it together on both sides of the basketball. I thought we defended really, really well. We have been trending in that direction. It's good to see our guys continue that and get our identity back. I thought offensively we really complemented our defense well. I thought we really played off each other. Guys were very unselfish, made each other better out there all night. And it's just a good way to kind of end the season for our seniors. Happy for them. It's the one game you're going to always remember. It's one of the games you'll always remember, senior night. And even though it's a new world with guys with you maybe 1 year or 2 years, it still means the same thing. That you're going to always remember this game. And I was happy that not just our seniors, but our underclassmen, everyone contributed to really help send them off the right way.
There have been some tough results that haven't gone your way lately, but to win a game like this and everyone's feeling good, how important is this going into the conference tournament?
Of course, it's important. I believe you can build momentum in the tournament, or you can build it before. I think I've seen teams do it both ways. For us, we need to understand who we are, and we've had, it's been a trying season at times for us. We've gone through a lot. But I'm a big believer. Usually, tough lessons are lessons learned. I think we've learned a lot of lessons through what we've gone through this season, and now we need to build upon what we did tonight going forward. And there's no tomorrow. So there's no more do-overs now. There's no more opportunities. So we need to play with a desperation and to play with a hunger that's desired in order to accomplish our goal.
With all that in mind, Coach, would you say that this afternoon was the most complete team this group has played, and is it that kind of getting hot at the right time kind of a scenario here?
Well, it's one of the more complete games we played in a while. We've had some games where we've played, well together. It hadn't been, as of recent, but, we've had moments. And so I think our guys have all been enough good games, enough very competitive games to know what we have to do to be successful. And so now we just have to get over the hump, in the tournament. And it's just for us, it's just a one game tournament. You have to go in and you have to look at it that way and hope to move forward after that. And so it's good to have some seniors who understand that in the locker room, and we need to make sure our younger players understand the importance of every possession.
You mentioned the tournament. I quickly got to follow up with this. Then you're probably going to be a 7 seed based on the win today. With that in mind, based on your record, based on your seed, could you be the scariest team in the tournament?
I'm not certain, how people are going to look at us. I do think, I know, for us in our locker room, we feel that we can compete with every team, and we have competed with every team, in the conference. So, with that in mind, we just need to go out there with the right mindset, play hard, play smart and play together, and then we see where we stand. But I like our guys' effort tonight. I thought we're leaving on a good note, but now we need to build upon that. We can't relax on this type of win. We need to carry this forward into our next game.
You talked about tough losses and lessons learned. Is there an overriding lesson that you think you can transfer to your team based on all of the different scenarios that led to those tough losses?
Absolutely. I think for us, the overriding factor is there's certain things you got to, be proficient at every single night, and one of them is defending and rebounding. I think when you look at the slippage that we've had on that side of the basketball, whether defensively giving up too many points or too many rebounds to teams' offensive putbacks, that was probably the overriding thing. I thought we improved our assist to turnover ratio as the season went on. We talked about it earlier about our assists and turnovers. I think we got better in that area. Even tonight, I think we're 15 and 13. So it was more or less on the defensive end. I think when Michael Durr went down, we were holding teams to right around 60. And then when he came back, he's trying to work his way back, and we're trying to get him back into our system. I think that number shot to about 80 points a game. It's almost a 20-point difference. And so we noticed that as a staff and as a team, and we've been working, on trying to get that number back down. And so even in a loss like the other night versus Temple, it's 57-55. That's more who we are defensively. And then we just need our offense to come along like it did tonight to complement it, and we become, I think, a very dangerous basketball team. So that's how we're going to approach it. That's how we're talking to our players in preparation for our first game, next week.
What's most frustrating about the loss at Temple and the way that came into?
Just a heartbreaking loss, because we had been in that situation before where we take a lead really late, and then they get one possession, we have no timeouts, then they just run the ball up the floor, get fouled, either score. And so again, like the Missouri game, they get the ball, one possession, they didn't score, but they end up getting fouled, which means they go to the line with a chance to win the game with limited time on the clock. And that's always tough for us. And then the execution. We had our chance. All we got to do in that situation is assume it's a miss, properly box out with the technique that we teach, and then we secure the game and we go into overtime, and then it'll be decided then. We missed the box out assignment. And that can cost games. I mean, games come down to 1 possession, 2 possessions. Those plays are huge. And so we foul, which gives them a chance to win the game. And then we miss a box out. And these are 2 plays at the end that separated us. And so we need to learn, but we'll learn from those. Some of these guys have never been in that position before. I don't care age, I don't care, they older or younger. It's not the age, it's have you been in those situations before? And so the guys have not really been in it, understood exactly what they should do. We had no more timeouts at that time, so I couldn't stop it and call timeout to get, to reiterate some of those points that we would reiterate at a timeout, because I was out of timeouts. And it's just an unfortunate way to go down. But, I'm not, Temple, they played a good game. I'm not knocking what they did. I thought they did a good job, and they were deserving of winning. That's why they made the last play, and we weren't, because we didn't make the last play. I think if we look at it that way and don't make excuses for ourselves, I think we'll be better off for that, because if you find a way to make an excuse, you'll use it. And so I'm not, as you know, I'm not an excuse-making guy. I take my losses. I'm the one, I'll take blame, not my guys. I have no issues with that. Because I've been blessed to do this game all my life. I'll take that, and we'll get better, and I'll get better for those guys in those situations.
I know it's been kind of an up and down year for Darius Johnson with the injury. He was missed a few games. He probably wasn't 100% when he came back. How do you think he did today? Because it seemed like he was.
I thought this was a really good bounce back game for him. I mean, he's had a tough time. He's a sophomore point guard who's been in and out most of the season. I mean, he has a lot, he has a lot of responsibility at that position, especially for us with our team with a lot of new personnel. He has a huge responsibility. I got to make sure Taylor gets off. I got to make sure these older fifth-year senior guards get off. I got to make sure Durr, when he's in, touch the basketball. So he has a lot. So when he's the last 5 games, for instance, I look at him, I'm like, getting in the paint, but not really getting to the free throw line. He's an 90% free throw shooter. So we talked about that, about being aggressive, getting in there, getting fouled or finishing. And it was good to see him today get back to who he is. He had a great floor game of balancing out, making sure they touched the ball and got their looks, but also picking his spots. I think he had leaned so far to the other side where he forgot about himself. I mean, he was a double-digit scorer. He was averaging double digits for us most of this year. If you look at the last 5 games, you're like, okay, what's happened? And he's had some tough games. I mean, the Memphis game, tough situation that he's put in. Come back, the Cincinnati game, tough situation against veteran guards, older players, older teams. And, any person could be a little knocked back given that circumstance. And we tried to keep teaching and keep, pushing them through it. But these are young men. These aren't 25, 26-year-old NBA players. They're college student athletes. And so, he had to go through that process, and we had to go through it with him. But it's good to see us come out of that process on the other side now, where he's able to bounce back and have a game where, okay, this is who you are. You play to your strength. He didn't make 1 jump shot, still had 10 points and was 5 for 8 from the field, with no jumpers really. And we know he can make open shots too. So it's good to see. I think that's good for our team. It's good for them to get a feel for who he is and who he's been. So now going forward, that helps us.
Coach, what are some different things that, seeing the team for the 3rd time in the season going into the tournament, advantages, disadvantages, can you speak of that a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's I guess I don't look at it as it's not an advantage, because we all going to know each other very well in this conference at this stage. There are going to be no real secrets. There's not going to be any kind of something really new that's going to knock you back. Everybody has their system and has played the whole conference schedule, so we'll know who they are. They'll know us very well. It's going to come down to who wants it the most and just overall execution, like just who can out execute you for 40 minutes on both sides of the basketball. That's what it always comes down to at this time of the year. And like I said, there's no do-over, so everyone's going to lay it all out there and don't want to be pacing themselves, that's for sure.
Do you think that during the season, a lot of the tight losses seem to be some mental lapses down the stretch? Going into a do-or-die situation like you're talking about, knowing your team, do you think that's going to help push them over the edge to concentrate harder? It seemed like they did it today, being the last game of the home game. So do you feel like knowing your team like you do you think that's going to help?
No, absolutely. That's what I was saying about, tough lessons are usually the ones you learned, and we've had a lot of tough lessons this season. I think we'll learn from those. I think being in those situations, we've seen a lot of different scenarios at end of game now, a lot. Because not every situation has been the same. It's been sometimes the defensive stop we needed. Sometimes it's the free throw box out we needed. Sometimes it's, the last stop of the game we've needed. It's been different scenarios. And so, but the more you see them, the more we can watch film and teach from them, the more our guys will absorb that and they'll learn from it. And I think they have. I look at, some of the things we've shored up defensively. So they're growing. And so now it's a point of emphasis for us going into the tournament to make sure, as you just mentioned, that our focus, our concentration is there, to make sure we close the game out the way we need to close it out.
I want to go back to this last road trip. You went from Tulsa to Philly. You were there for several days. What led to the decision to be there for as long as you were?
It wasn't. That decision was made because of the conflict in travel. There was no way for us to get out from from Tulsa to back home and then to Philly, because we couldn't leave after the game. We had to stay overnight. There were no early flights out the next morning, Monday morning. So we wouldn't get back until a late flight on Monday night. So we wouldn't get into super late on Monday. So that kind of kills you for Tuesday. And then Wednesday we had to leave and turn around and go right to Philly. And so we were like, if we have to do that, it may just be better just to go straight to Philadelphia, because there's no easy travel. We could have got out Sunday, absolutely. They had a bad storm there, tornadoes. Also, just with the normal flights, there were no flights back to Orlando except later in the afternoon, evening for, Orlando from Tulsa. So it just put us in a tough way. So we had to make that decision, and that's why we ended up staying there an extra day or so, because it was just really travel.
Is that part of the difficulty when maybe the budget's not there to charter every game to and from, that you have to make hard decisions on when to fly commercial and when you can afford to fly charter?
Exactly. We were in a position where it was a commercial flight, and so that's what we had to do. And so it made more sense just to do that. And because, we'd have beat our guys up trying to get to and from, just to get them there for half a day almost, or a night, and then they got to fly right back out. So that's why that decision was made. But that's part of it. That's just part of understanding how to maximize your guys and help maximize what we're trying to do out there. So I thought it was fine. I thought our guys were prepared. I thought it was a good basketball game. They're a good team. I mean, they're good. They have talent, and like a lot of teams in our league. And I thought we were right there at the end. We had our chances, up by one with 8 seconds to go in the game. But, you got to get a stop and you got to get a rebound.
Taylor Hendricks had a career-high 25 points. And can you speak about his growth this season?
Taylor's grown. I mean, it's fun watching a young player, a talented young player like him continue to get better. I thought as the season started off, he really emerged. And then as we first started conference play, I thought he had to adjust to it. Conference play is different, as we all know in here. And so I thought, it took him probably going through that first half of conference play to get a feel for everybody and what he could do out there. And I think you look at his second half of conference play, I thought he's been outstanding. He's really elevated his game everywhere. Today he has 25 and 10. He's been playing really at a high level, and he's getting better. I'm watching him get better throughout the season, just understanding our concepts defensively, getting better offensively, understanding how to, be a little more aggressive when he receives the basketball and not just kind of settling and deferring to the, older players. He's really starting to grow up and understand that, he's a focal point of what we're doing, and he needs to establish that by how assertive he is out there on the floor, and he's done that.
What's he like to coach?
I've really enjoyed coaching him. It's an interesting young man. Like, I coach all. We're gonna coach hard and we're gonna push our guys because we're trying to help them maximize who they can be and maximize our team. He's never once shrugged his shoulders at anything I've ever said and tried to push and try to get him, go on or do something. He's always been, yes sir, coach, no sir, coach, and he goes and tries to do it. He's a very thoughtful guy, and it's beautiful because he's, when you're that talented, you love to see a guy be that coachable. He is that talented and he's that coachable, which is a rare combination. And where I was saying to someone the other day, like we had a meal and it's buffet style, and players are all guys will get their plate and they will go through the line. If you go through the line, you're just grabbing things and you grabbing things. You look at your plate and it's like, oh man, I ain't got space for this, or I didn't do this. Taylor just sits back, kind of like where you are, Trace, and just looking, just like the table, looking at the table. I'm watching him kind of look at the table. I'm looking at him. So because we went up there, he knew exactly what and how much he was getting down the line. So he looked at his plates like perfect. I'm like, man, this kid, is he unreal? Or just a unique individual in that regard. That was something. He just stood back kind of where you kind of stared at everything. I'm just kind of off the side watching. And he went through. It was like done, and everything was like he wanted. So his attention to detail is very high. He's a very conscientious young man, and like I said, I've been fortunate to coach him. I'm glad I had a chance to, and our staff has had a chance to coach him. And I think we've helped him, and I think he's done a really good job for his team.
Coach, it being senior night, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about C.J. Kelly and his performance tonight. He comes out, delivers what he does, but in particular, 7 points in a minute and also accruing his 1,000th point. From your perspective, how fun was that to watch on the sideline there?
It was a lot of fun to watch, and I was very proud of him because, I think he had a good carryover from the Temple game. I thought he really did a really good job and made some plays for us to help, down the stretch of that game to help, give us a chance. And I thought he just carried that over tonight. Being senior night, a lot of times you worry because seniors are under a lot of stress. There's a lot of emotions and butterflies about this is really it now. And I thought he did a great job of fighting out of that, especially in the second half when he made that run. He's a really good basketball player. I've enjoyed coaching him as well. He's not just a scorer. He can facilitate. He makes plays for you on the defensive end. And so he's been really good for this team. He's battled some things this year. Like I said, to his credit, he's battled things, and he remained out there. But he was a shell of himself for about 3 weeks because of that. And it's not like we're going to tell the opposing team why would we do that. But we knew he was very limited. But he just fought through it and kept playing and giving us what he had. So I'm glad to see him be rewarded with his 1,000th point. That's rare. How many players get a chance to score 1,000 points in their college career? And he did on a night like tonight where he had to make some huge plays. I thought they had gotten some momentum in the second half. I think the 7 quick points in a minute for him, it kind of stymied their momentum and kind of really, gave us the opportunity to kind of just continue to play the way we wanted to play throughout the rest of the game.
So where do you think this team is now as it heads to the conference tournament?
I think we have a good mindset. I really do. I thought even before this game we had a good mindset. We just need to get over the hump. I think I have been saying that when we're going to, step up and make a play to get us over the hump, whether it's a defensive play or offensive play. And I thought we did a combination of that tonight, and so, like I said, I've been always, you've heard me. I've been I'm always optimistic about, my team anyway, and I'm really optimistic about this team. I think, I'm a cup half full guy, not a cup half empty guy, and so I believe in our guys. I think they still believe in themselves, or we wouldn't have been in the games we were in. Think about a year. You go back through years. How many teams have you seen play 30 games, and really, I don't think we lost a game by more than really 4 possessions, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe that was 13 was maybe the highest game we lost. I think it was South Florida. 2 games over, lose by double digits. Everything else was in single digits. These guys have been right there, so they know they're capable of winning games and winning big games. We just have to do it. And so this, I think, was a good step going forward. We win a good game at home before we leave for the tournament. We know we're capable. We just have to go out there and make it happen. And that's the best way to be. Winning the conference tournament is a heck of an accomplishment for any team. And we're going in there starting off just like every team that's going in this tournament. All of our teams are starting off in the same place now, 0-0. And we'll have to make our fortunes happen in this tournament.
Shit. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks,
All right,
Coach.
guys. Thank you, guys.
Always appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.